Look at that, tea leaves everywhere.
Have you ever seen the real tea trees? Believe it or not, over a century years ago, your ancestors might have tried this famous Chinese green tea, Biluochun. One of China's most legendary teas, famous for its explosive floral and fruity notes. Back in 18th century, it traveled across oceans, becoming a high-end luxury for the global elite. However, this very precious taste of spring only has a tiny 2-week window for harvest. Well, last and this week. No more talking, I'm going to pick and craft my very own cup of tea. That's gonna be interesting. Would you like to come? Join me.
是我们像碧螺春，它是
杀青的时候要200，然后慢慢的降下来。
茶叶全靠功夫磨出来的呀。
Wow. Look at that, tea leaves everywhere. I'm surrounded by tea leaves.
Right now, I'm standing among these rare tea trees. This is where Biluochun comes from, or more precisely, the mountainous area of Xishan Island. On the map, Xishan Island lies in eastern China, nestled in a vast lake, covering an area of around 83 square kilometers. It's 1/10 the size of New York City. The island is dominated by mountains and has a sparse population. Geographically speaking, only the tea grown here can be called authentic Biluochun. Let's go back 2 hours ago and start today's tea hunting journey. This is Grandma Lu. Her family has tended a large tea plantation in these mountains for generations, making a living from growing and processing tea. At around 5 in the morning, when the sky was just dawning, we followed her footsteps, trekking up the mountains through the dew to pick the freshest tea shoots of the day. I knew picking tea would be tough, but it turned out to be far more difficult than I'd imagined.
It's now about 6 o'clock. Those roads are quite damp and wet.
It rained the night before, so every tea leaf was dripped with heavy droplets of water. As we wove through the tea bushes, our clothes were soaked through within just a few steps. The higher we climbed, the more indistinct the path became. Eventually, there was no proper trail at all. We had to force our way through the dense, impenetrable tea thickets. Her steps were quick and steady. I had to strain every muscle just to keep up.
She's really fast, energetic. That's really tiring.
As we gradually gained altitude, a vast expanse of tea trees suddenly unfolded before our eyes. Scattered figures could be seen among the tea bushes, local farmers just like Grandma who headed up the mountain before dawn to start their work. Picking Biluochun still relies entirely on manual labor to this day. Just look at the mountain path beneath our feet. No machinery could ever walk here. But that's not the only reason. What truly tests one's skill is the art of tea picking itself. Do you hear that? A soft, rhythmic, pattering sound. That's Grandma picking the tea leaves. Her hands flit between the tea branches and the leaves, nimble and efficient, like a butterfly gathering nectar.
采一芽叶，一张叶子一个芽。
一张一个子一个芽。
哎，你这样采，不要掐，就是哎，对对，那个小裤子不要带在。
Picking a tea leaf intact is no easy feat. Pick from the wrong spot and you pull off the leaf stem, which makes the tea taste bitter. Use the wrong amount of force and you crush the leaf, ruining its appearance.
Look at that. My work after 5 minutes. That's not an easy job. You have to keep the tender leaves very complete. Yeah, they do smell good. Yeah.
This is what I picked in 5 minutes, and this is what Grandma picked in the same time. Grandma's tea plantation covers 60,000 square meters, around 15 acres in total. It's impossible for her to harvest everything alone during the short picking season. So she hires farmers from other areas to help with the picking. I asked her, "What about your kids? What do they do?" Grandma smiled and said, "Young people run homestays and tea shops in the village. They don't want to come up the mountain and endure this hardship." Soon, it's 12 o'clock. To save time, tea farmers bring their lunch up here. Sitting on the ground, facing the endless green of the mountains, this is their precious break time. After a morning of picking, our backs ached and our muscles screamed, and the sun started to burn our skin. But for Grandma and the others, they'll keep working until the sun sets at 6 o'clock. Limited yield, a narrow harvesting window, and entirely manual picking, these factors are what make Biluochun so precious. Before hunger made it impossible to take another step, we said goodbye to Grandma and decided to head down the mountain back to the village.
Alright, next we're heading down the mountain to roast the tea. Turn these freshly picked tea leaves into the real tea we drink every day. This step is important. It will greatly affect the flavor and the taste of the tea. So let's go and take a look how our tea leaves become the real drink.
Back in the village, the tea leaves picked this morning have also been brought down the mountain. Before the roasting process begins, there's another important step. Experienced tea farmers will sort the leaves, a task that requires both patience and experience. Perfect tea leaves are required to have one leaf and one bud each. Behind these nearly insane standards lies nothing but manual labor. The farmers process tens of thousands of buds by hand every day. Most of them are elderly, who no longer have the strength to climb the mountain for picking, so they take on this relatively lighter work. After sorting, only about 60% of the daily picked tea leaves can move on to the next and final step, tea roasting. Now it's the showtime of Master Lu. This cheerful and handsome uncle is the most experienced tea roasting master in the village. Every spring, he becomes the most popular star around. Tea plantations far and wide invite him to come roast their tea leaves. The freshly picked tea leaves must be roasted the same day, otherwise the tender leaves lose its flavor and moisture. This is all about kung fu on hands. Although it's early spring, don't underestimate the heat of the iron pot. Look at the sweat on his forehead.
它这个炒茶一般是分几个过程？因为我看你有的时候搓，有的时候揉。
有分3个步骤。第一个要杀青，杀青的时候要200度左右，然后慢慢的降下来。
如果是温度低了，它茶叶上就发黄，对吧？
对，茶叶发黄。
那它如果温度
太高了要焦掉。
哦，焦掉。
要焦掉的。
哦，您怎么感觉这个温度的？
应该靠手吧。
凭经验。
凭经验。像我们做了几十年了呀，所以有经验。一般的人炒不好，然后是揉捻温度降下来一点，叫它成型嘛。
This is the key step of the roasting. Master took off his gloves and rolled the tea leaves between his palms to cure them. Rolling breaks down the cell walls of leaves, allowing polyphenols, amino acids, caffeine, and other beneficial compounds to blend perfectly. This is the main source of Biluochun's amazing aroma. After half an hour of roasting, the tea leaves lose more weight, shrinking to just 40% of their original mass. It only took 6 hours for the fresh leaves picked in the morning to transform into the fragrant finished tea, made entirely by hand with no chemical additives. This is how China's top-grade tea is produced.
洞庭山碧螺春，它是中国6大茶类里边仅存的全手工茶，手工采摘、手工挑拣、手工炒制，所以说它。
This lady is the current owner of the tea plantation, daughter of Grandma Lu. After graduating from university, she worked at a construction company for 10 years before finally deciding to return here and take up tea plantation. I'm curious, what had changed her mind?
我当时就觉得。我的一生难道我能看到5年、10年以后这在干什么？我就觉得非常无聊，我的感觉。我想要就是老了以后，我就譬如说我躺在这个摇椅上，跟我的孙子、儿子聊我的一生的时候，就有一些回忆。这个工作辞职以后，我就一门心思，我没有去找别的工作，我就回西山了。所以每次跟朋友啊或者一些人聊起这个事情，就是有时候会觉得很不可思议。对。
I also asked her idea about the coming shortage of labor force in tea picking.
现在就是人工的问题，茶农 你也不想让它荒着，但是他的小辈都是去城里干活了，那政府不会放任着这个中国10大名茶之一就荒芜没人管的，后面肯定是化零为整的，是以农业合作社的形式，或者是以农业公司的这种形式，肯定会整体规模化的经营。那么不管是你上农业高科技以后，机器人采茶、炒茶，还是你去别的外地去找人来采，肯定是这个茶肯定不会让它消失嘛。
The sun is setting. In this village where generations have lived off tea, there are hard-working farmers like Grandma Lu, and also entrepreneurs like Miss Xie, who bring the vitality and new opportunities to the countryside. Outside her tea house, there is a large, ancient tree. It rooted deeply in this land, meanwhile stretches out wide, embracing the endless and thriving future of this small mountain village.